Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Afternoons with the Ambassador. And we're back with an actual movie review. It feels like it's been so long. And man, does it feel good to be back. To quote the man himself, Tony Stark, man, is it good to be back. And to the chat, Mr. CCTV, good afternoon, my friend. Good to see you. And go easy on the whiskey, bud. I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but take it easy. And folks, as the description and the title says, we're going to be reviewing New Mutants, which I went and saw this past Friday. The theaters are open again. People are going to the movies again. And I am thrilled beyond belief to bring you all this review. And just fair warning, this will have spoilers, not massive major spoilers. I won't ruin the whole movie for you, but there will be some spoilers in it. And to the chat, Getter92, good afternoon, my friend. Good to see you as always. So, but yeah, guys, unfortunately, the only thing that would have made this better is if Madam Ambassador had gone with me, but it is what it is. She was feeling a little under the weather. She's like, honey, go to the movies, get out of my hair for a little while. Because even Madam Ambassador, God love her, she's a saint. She has to be. She's married to me. But she's like, honey, I know you've been wanting to go to movies. She's like, we'll go another time together. We'll go see something. I'm like, okay, fine. So, but anyways, I had been chomping at the bit to see this ever since I saw the trailer for it back last year. And I think even before that, I had been wanting to go see New Mutants because, as most of you know, I'm a comic fan. I love comic book movies. Love them to death. And this was something that I was looking forward to, and I will be perfectly candid with you all. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed New Mutants immensely. And got a couple of things pulled up and everything, so got some visual aids for you and everything to go along with this. But just to give my initial thoughts on New Mutants, it is within the X-Men universe. Yeah, I get her. She's okay. It was just this past Friday. She was tired. She's still recovering and getting acclimated to being a stay-at-home wife and everything. So, but yeah, she's doing okay. But I appreciate the comment and the concern as always. But yeah, New Mutants. This was honestly, I will say, I know a lot of people were like, this movie's gonna suck ass. Everybody's like, it's not gonna be any good, and I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. Now, I will tell you, this does take place. I want to say this takes place prior to Logan, just a guess and everything. But I want to say this probably takes place prior to the movie Logan and everything. This is just a guess because there are a few little things that tip you off that obviously this does take place in the X-Men universe and everything. But my guess is this is pre-Logan. This is before the catastrophe at the Xavier Institute when Professor Xavier has his brain aneurysm or whatever and everything that's seen off screen and everything that killed most of the X-Men. But this movie has a very small cast. It's not a huge cast, honestly. You've got it's honestly a 6-person cast really of people that you see on screen. And you know what? I'll go ahead and pull this up and everything. I pulled up the IMDb for New Mutants, and I'll go ahead and pop this up here, and we'll take a look at this. So give me just 2 seconds. Share, and let me come back over here. And here we go. Yeah, and IMDb and everything, they are giving this a 5.7, which I think is relatively fair. But honestly, I had an absolute blast and everything to see this. And to the chat, Jeff B, good to see you, sir, as always. Hope you're doing well today. But yeah, honestly, this does stick fairly close to the source material of New Mutants. It really does. Everything. And it was, honestly, this, let's see if no, that doesn't work. Let's just stick with this. Anything. I hope that's big enough for y'all to see. If it's not, My apologies. But yeah, this has a pretty good cast. I was not familiar with everyone that was in this, but it was directed by Josh Booth. It was written by Josh Boone, excuse me, and it was written by Josh Boone and Kenneth Lee. The cast is Maisie Williams. For those of you who know, she played, I think, Arya Stark. Yeah, off of Game of Thrones. She plays Rain Sinclair. Anya Taylor Joy, who played Ileana Rasputin, codename Magic. Which there's a nice, I'll get into the story here in a little bit. There's another fellow, Charlie Heaton, who played Cannonball Samuel Guthrie. I'm just going to scroll down here so y'all can see this. You got Alice Braga as Dr. Reyes, and she's also going to be appearing in the Suicide Squad movie that I think is coming out next year. You've got Henry Zaga as Robert DeCosta, or Sunspot. And you've got, where is she? Where are you? You disappeared on me. That's odd. Well, there's another character. Oh, wait a minute. No, she isn't. Blue Hunt, or anything, who played Daniela Moonstar. And but yeah, this was a kind of a mixture of one of the earlier iterations of the New Mutants team, but these are all characters that were within the New Mutants team or anything in the X-Men universe. And this film had a very claustrophobic feel to it, which honestly I kind of liked. It kind of reminded me of a and oh, hey, and to the chat, my good friend Mountains of Elysium, good afternoon, sir. Good to see you as well. Thank you, bud. I appreciate that. But yeah, this was a really intriguing story. I mean, as I had said initially when I did my trailer reaction to New Mutants, it kind of reminded me of a cross between a superhero movie and a psychological thriller. And it very much maintained that vibe throughout the film. There's a deeper reason to this. Now, I will tell you all, it had been a while since I had been in movies. You know, I'll pull this down here and everything, pop myself back in. It had been a while since I had been to the movies, so it took a little bit for my eyes to acclimate to seeing things on a large screen. So initially, some of the special effects and everything. Now, I will say this is not an effects-heavy movie. It does have effects, but they're not overdone, and they do fit into the flow of the story, and they do aid in the telling of the story. The basic gist of this is we're introduced to Blue Hunt's character, Daniela Moonstar. And her father and everything, they are Native Americans. Moonstar, if you can't figure out, is a Native American name. I think she said that she was of the Sioux tribe or anything, because there's conversation between her and Ileana Rasputin or anything during the film. And she's like, well, what tribe are you? And she's like, Sioux. So anyway, and her father's actually played by Adam Beach and everything. If y'all remember him, he was actually in Wind Talkers with Nicolas Cage, and he plays Daniela Moonstar's father and everything. He has a couple of scenes throughout the film. But the cool thing about this was not your atypical superhero comic book movie. It deals with the themes of facing one's past, facing one's inner demons, and finding one's place in the world. And this is what a good X-Men movie or a good superhero movie should do. And I think New Mutants did it very, very well. Now, I did pull up another article and everything. This is from, it's not from one of the normal sources that you would normally get, but this is from Slash Film. And they say New Mutants top slowly growing box office with $7 million opening. And honestly, I was happy to hear that. I was happy to hear that my bucks and everything went into putting this thing at the top spot. Just a couple of little side notes and everything on that. The two other films that came out this weekend, and I have not seen Bill and Ted Face the Music. I do want to, but according to Slash Films, where is it? Come on, where are you? I know it's in this article. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. I gotta scroll down a little bit. Come on. For Pete's sakes. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. Okay, here we go. The Russell Crowe film Unhinged came in second place with 2.6 million, and Bill and Ted Face the Music or anything came in with 1.6. Now, considering a lot of theaters are still shut down in a lot of major cities, I expected a lot of these films and everything not to have huge openings, but I'm glad to see that people are going back to the movies. I actually caught a matinee for this, and there was only like a handful of people in there besides myself, but still, it was a matinee. It was on a Friday. Most people were still working, so. And actually, the encouraging sign was as I was leaving, I saw more people coming in. So I was very, very happy to see people that were coming back to the movies and everything. But honestly, getting back on track here with the review, New Mutants deals with these 5 characters: Samuel Guthrie, Cannonball, Robert DaCosta, Sunspot, Ileana Rasputin as Magic, Daniela Moonstar, and I think her call sign and everything in the New Mutants team was just simply Moonstar. And there was one other. Oh yeah, Rain Sinclair, who was actually her call sign and everything for the X-Men team was Wolfsbane, because she essentially has what they call lycanthropy, which essentially means she can transform into a werewolf. Now, there are 2 different forms of this and anything that you see in the movie. Rain can turn into a regular wolf, and then she can turn into the more classic version of what we consider a werewolf. But we never see her at her full werewolf form and everything in this film, which I was okay with, honestly. They adapted the powers for the characters. They stayed true to the powers of each character. Obviously, Ileana Rasputin, and they don't ever make reference to Colossus, but if you know the lore and everything of X-Men, Ileana Rasputin is actually Colossus's sister and everything from Russia. And I will say the young lady who played Magic and everything, who played Ileana, she did a fantastic job. She came off as very smug, very smarmy, very arrogant, very standoffish. But at the same time, she came off as very vulnerable. And I really appreciated that fact. As for Robert DaCosta, Sunspot, he kind of had that very obviously Robert DaCosta is a character from South America and everything, or at least as of South American descent. Let's put it that way. And he had that very Latin-esque swagger to him, which fit the character, and I think the actor and everything, Henry Zagat and everything, did a very good job. As far as Charlie Heaton as Sam Guthrie / Cannonball, he honestly did a good job and everything. This was a character that's actually from my neck of the woods. He's from Kentucky. His family was in coal mining and everything. His father was a coal miner himself. And he had that very unsure feel to himself. He was kind of off balance with his powers and everything. And they're all being held in this building and everything. It's reminiscent of Xavier's school and everything that we see so often in the X-Men movies, particularly in the Bryan Singer films and so on. But there's something very off about this place. And what we come to find out is Daniela Moonstar has a psionic ability. Essentially, basically, she has telepathic abilities, but they manifest in a non-traditional way. What she can do is she can manifest people's deepest fears and use them to attack people. And unfortunately, she has not learned how to harness her powers. And that's kind of how this movie kicks off, is she's asleep. We assume that she's dreaming and everything. And there is this giant shadowy figure and everything that's tearing apart her tribe's reservation that her and her father live on. And eventually she gets taken to, she wakes up and she realizes that she's in this institution and everything for mutants. Now, as far as the interactions between the different characters, they all felt very organic. It felt very real and everything. Like I said, this was a small cast. You only see 6 characters on screen at any given time. And I think that gave us an opportunity to get to know the characters on a deeper level. I would have liked if the runtime for this film would have been a little bit longer. My guess is there might have been some stuff that they cut out because this movie is only an hour and a half long, give or take, and everything minus trailers. But to be honest with y'all, I would have liked this movie to have been a little bit longer. I would have liked a little more time with these characters. I am hoping that if enough people do reviews, no, Mr. CC, it's not. It is not another Phoenix movie. Thank heavens, it's not. No, this movie and everything. As I've been saying, my one criticism and everything is I really wish this movie had been longer. I would have liked more time with these characters because these were characters I was actually interested in getting to know. But for what we do get a good feel for all of the mutants and everything that are here in this institution. And what we find out is everybody's got a dark past and everything that they're running from, and everything that they're having trouble confronting. And for all of the other mutants, Daniela's ability forces them eventually to finally confront their fears and address them and finally be able to move past them. Now, I will say everything for the Dr. Reyes character played by Alice Braga, she did a very good job. At first, she seems like she's a very genuine and a very heartfelt and a decent person. But as the movie goes on, the layers and everything, the facade starts to crack and everything because everybody is just doing their thing. At one point, they actually knock Dr. Reyes out, and the kids just have the run of the place and everything there at the hospital. And honestly, this film and everything does a very good job of building a very sinister and a very claustrophobic atmosphere, and that was something I really enjoyed about this. Yeah, Gitter, they did get the characters right on this one. I would guess anything that the two writers, well, writer/director and everything, Josh Boone and I hope I'm pronouncing this lady's name correctly, Kate Lee, they did a good job and everything of making these characters relatable, making them real, and making you care about them. So let me double check here. Kate Lee and everything is the name of one of the writers. Yeah, and Ileana, she has that, I don't want to say stereotypical because it's not stereotypical, but she has this swagger about her and everything that is very self-assured. She's very self-confident and everything. And she gives zero craps about everybody. But when the chips are down, she does step up in a big way. And during the third act of the film, she finally has to confront her fears. And there's actually a nice little moment and everything when they're in the third act and they're in the final confrontation. And one of the characters, I think it's Cannonball and everything, that says to her, "This thing is basically magic," and everything. And she looks back over her shoulder and she's like, "So am I." Sorry, guys, I will not try and do a Russian accent. I suck at it, and I know I do. So, but I thought that was a nice little callback and everything to her her X-Men call sign as magic and everything. Because if you know the lore around that particular character, you know that her call sign does very much hearken to her powers and her abilities and everything. But I will say, the interactions, like I was getting into, the interactions between these characters, the dialogue between these gives you the feeling that, except for Daniela, the other mutants have been in this institution for a long time. And like I said, you've got Sunspot, who's got that very Latin vibe. You've got Ileana Rasputin, who's got that very cold, callous Russian edge, but at the same time, she has a big heart and everything, but it's hard for her to express it. But when she's given the opportunity, she does. As far as Rain Sinclair or Wolfsbane, played by Maisie Williams, she really, honestly, she shined in this. Now, I have not seen her in a great deal in Game of Thrones. I've seen clips of her interacting with other characters, and she did a good job. I will say this for her. She did carry off that, oh, for heaven's sakes, I hope I get this right. But she carries off that Scottish accent that the character Rain Sinclair, or maybe Sinclair would actually be Irish. Maybe it's Irish, not Scottish or anything. It's always hard to distinguish between the two. And I hope that anybody that is Scottish or Irish that's in the two that watches this later, please don't think that I can't tell the difference. It's just sometimes it's kind of tricky. But Maisie Williams did a really good job with this part, and I think she really got into the role. It seems like all the actors and actresses did their research for these roles, and she has a vulnerability to her. She is afraid of her power, and she comes from a Catholic background and everything, and her faith is not a huge part of her character, but it does play a part in her life. And that was something that I thought was very well done. Now, there is something that I was intrigued by that they did add into this that I was not necessarily expecting. I know I heard rumors and people kind of went "Ree" about it, but personally, it didn't bother me. And that was the fact that there was a relationship that was developed between Daniela Moonstar and Rain Sinclair. Yes, they had an on-screen lesbian romance. And I will honestly say to you all, most of you know my religious conviction, my religious beliefs and everything. But I will say this. I thought this was about as authentic. Mountains, I'm sorry. Please don't be offended, sir. It's sometimes it's kind of tricky and everything to get that Irish lilt and that Scottish brogue and everything separated. So please do not be offended. But as I was starting to say, the relationship between Moonstar and Sinclair, between Wolfsbane and Moonstar, was actually, it was very subtle. It was a slow build. It was a slow burn, but it wasn't overt and it wasn't in your face. Now, there are a couple of instances. Yeah, Cece, she did a really good job in this role and everything. Oh, you're Mountains, you're fine, bud. Everything, no worries, and I'm glad you're not offended. Thank you. But I will say this: there has only been one or two other times I've seen a female same-sex relationship and everything that was developed well, that felt organic, that it didn't feel forced, and it did fit into the flow of the movie. And the only other time I've seen this was quite literally from seasons 4 through 6 on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, in terms of the relationship and everything between Willow and between Tara. And here's a funny thing. There were a few times where the kids were in like one of the rec rooms there in the facility and everything. Yeah. Get her? Yeah, I did too and everything. That was something that was very intriguing to me. And but anyway, getting back to my point. There were a few times the kids were in one of the rec rooms there in the in the facility, and they had a TV playing, and on the TV they actually had clips from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, as most of you know, I think Buffy is owned by 20th Century Studios, or what was formerly known as 20th Century Fox and everything. But honestly, for me, it might have been a smidge on the nose, but because they did show a scene of Willow and Tara kissing on screen, and then a little while later, you do see, like I said, there are a couple of scenes where it's not overt, it's not obscene or anything, but Rain and Danielle do share a couple of kisses. But it was done very classy. It wasn't done in your face. And, you know, I know a lot of people, other people might say, well, this is just a piece of woke crap. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But personally, for me, it did not bother me. It did not offend me. I was not triggered by it or anything else, even though, as I said, yeah, Mr. CC, I honestly would agree with that and everything. I'm gonna pop this up here for y'all to see. Willow and Tara were the perfect example of an LBGT relationship. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Anything, and I might eventually start doing reviews of Buffy and everything, and Angel at some point, because I love the shows, loved them to death, as most of you know this. But this was a good addition and everything. It, like I said, it did not feel forced. It felt organic to the world. These were two young women who grew to have feelings for one another, and those feelings went to the next step. And honestly, I'm, like as I already said, y'all know my position on this sort of thing from a religious perspective, but I'm not going to be one of those mean, angry Christians who say, "How dare you put something like this in my movies?" For the story, for the movie, it was fine. It worked. And I hope, I sincerely, sincerely, sincerely hope that if this movie does well between the box office and video sales, that they do a continuation along some line. And to the chat, Superior Hero Reviews, good afternoon, sir. Good to see you as always. As I've been talking with everybody, I've just been doing my review of New Mutants and everything. And honestly, guys, and Thomas Connolly, good afternoon, sir. I know you are, bud. Good, and it's good, Thomas. It's good to see you. Maybe they should have better views. Sounds geeky. Just a joke. I know. So, but yeah, honestly, folks, I would love to see this story continued. I would love to see, because like I said, this feels like it's in the same. This is in the X-Men universe, and I'll go ahead and say this. I hope it's not a huge spoiler. If you don't want to hear this, click out now and everything. But there was a connection between Logan and New Mutants and everything, and that is in fact, the Essex Institute. Because the Dr. Reyes, she has a pin on the lapel of her lab coat. Superior Hero, Bud, I think you will really enjoy this and everything. If you are I know you're as much of a Marvel fan as I am and everything. It is a good film. It's not like the biggest, most massive, huge thing ever, but it's a good, solid film. It's a good, solid I think it's a good, solid X-Men film, and I give it my highest possible rating and everything. I really do recommend, if you all have the opportunity, go see this. But as I was trying to get to, I would love to see this story continued. I really, truly do, for the simple fact that I would love to see these characters again. These are characters that are interesting to me. I want to see their story progress. And either if they do this as another film, if they're able to. I wouldn't mind that if they decide to turn this into a online series and everything of some sort, put it on Disney Plus or whatever. I would be good with that if somebody else decides to pick it up, say like Amazon Prime or uh, Netflix or whatever. I'd be good with that as well. But I would love to see these characters in more things. These are characters that I dig. This is a team, this is an X-Men team that I dig, and the world that they're in, like I said, it's connected to Logan. So I would love to see how it is connected to Logan. So, but yeah, guys, honestly, that's my honest thoughts on New Mutants. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great to get back to the movies again and everything, and it was good to go in, sit down without a lot of hoopla and just watch a good solid film. So if y'all are able to see this in theaters, do so. If you have to wait for video or anything, or if they release this on demand or whatever, do that as well because you will be entertained. I didn't want to spoil a lot of this or anything, just for the simple fact that I know some of you have not seen this or you're planning on seeing it. So I didn't want to spoil it, but I did want to give you a little bit of an idea of the story and everything. So, but it's so good to do a movie review about something new. It really, 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 really is. Guys, I have no idea how long it has been since we have been able to go to the movies, to get out and do something other than what we've been doing the last several months. But, a lot of you here that are in the chat were here this past Friday. And I had a stream going and everything. And most of you, like I said, most of you were there. And I've had a lot of feedback and everything. Thanks, Gitter. Thomas, yeah, I did wear a mask during the biggest part of it. There were a few times I had to pull it down. I had to breathe, but other than that, everything, and, honestly, wearing the mask didn't even bother. Everything didn't bother me all that much. But I didn't gain popcorn or soda or anything. I just didn't feel like it and everything and all. So wasn't a big problem for me, truthfully. If you're able to go to the film movies and they require you to wear a mask, wear it and everything. And if you have to pull it down, just be subtle about it so you can breathe and everything. Like I said, I had to do it a couple of times. Other than that, wearing the whole mask didn't really bother me. I would much rather not have to wear a bloody mask to go to the film. But if this is what we have to do for the time being, then I'll do it. No big. But as I started to say, this past Friday, I did a stream and I have gotten a lot of feedback from it. Several of you have reached out to me. And I've gotten several comments, I've gotten several messages from people and everything. And I felt like I needed to address a few things because of some of the comments and some of the things that I said in that stream last Friday. So in light of that, I'm going to do this and then probably going to wrap up. Anyway. This past Friday, I presented my thoughts on the state of the YouTube community. And over the last few days, I've received several messages and comments on what I said. Some have been very supportive and others expressed concern about my comments during that stream. I would like to thank all of you who reached out to me. All of your opinions matter. In light of that, I would like to clarify some of the statements that I made on Friday, because I realize I didn't clarify what I was saying well enough. Because unfortunately, at times, your emotions do sometimes get away from you. When I made the remark that those who have nothing but negativity and toxicity to offer through their channel should shut down their sites, I was not calling for their censorship or banning. Far from it. Freedom of speech is an American ideal that I think we all share and that we all deeply hold dear, myself included. Rather, my point was to call attention to the broader YouTube community to consider who we support, who we promote on this platform. Hey, Traveler28, good to see you, bud, as always. I'm doing okay. Just finished up my review of New Mutants and everything, and just this is something and everything that I wanted to present to y'all and everything in light of what happened with my stream from this past Friday. As I was saying, rather, my point was to call attention to the broader YouTube community to consider who we support and who we promote on this platform. Ask yourself these questions. Do the channels I watch enrich, inform, entertain, and inspire me? Do they represent the ideals that I hold dear? And do they challenge me mentally? I am not seeking to impose my views or position on anyone. Yeah, Thomas, and this isn't necessarily an apology. It part of it is, but it's more of a clarification and more of me making my position better known than I did. If anything, I was using my voice to bring attention to a subject I feel affects all of us, which I believe we all agree on. If the comments I made were misinterpreted, I do apologize. I should have been more clear in how I stated my points. Also, some of you expressed concern over my address and that I was seeking to create a safe space on YouTube where no contrary opinions can be expressed. This was by no means my intention or my goal. If we cannot present opinions from various perspectives, then there is no discourse. But we should expect more than negative, toxic rhetoric that presents no ideas, only causes division, and presents no solutions. Thank you, Traveler. I appreciate that, truly. And some of you might be asking, Ambassador, negativity and toxicity are very broad terms. What exactly do I mean? Well, I'll get to that here in a few minutes, and I'll bring attention to that point specifically. Let me be perfectly crystal clear. Do I want to see YouTube become something better than it is currently? Absolutely. But it cannot be and should not be done through force or stifling of differing opinions. Instead, it should be done through the unity that comes from reason and thoughtful dialogue and debate. We should combat negativity with positivity, because there is far more that unites us than divides us. Yeah, Cece, if you like Lower Decks, more power to you. It's not that I don't like Lower Decks, it's just I haven't watched it, and it's just, it doesn't feel like it's geared towards me, so I'm not going to really watch it. It is those who sow division who we should stand against. It is those who wish to spread toxicity in this community that we should stand in solidarity to. And this is my point when I'm talking about negativity and toxicity right here. It is a sad, unfortunate fact that there are those on YouTube who resort to attacking others based on their race, ethnicity, gender, and sexual orientation. That is the type of negativity and toxicity we as the YouTube community should call out, renounce, and counter. Traveler28, indeed. Very, very true. And yeah, Pink Floyd is always a win. Criticism has its place. and it should be done of ideas. None of those things are immutable. And most importantly, criticism should be constructive. And even though we might disagree, we should be able to shake hands and call each other friends, not foe. I will always offer fair and constructive criticism. I will not berate and belittle those who create. Their ideas might differ from my own, but that does not make their efforts invalid or bereft of value. I will speak to what I find of merit, and I will also speak to what I find lacking. And when possible, I will offer my thoughts on how a piece of media can be made better. But always with the understanding that this is my opinion alone and not general consensus. And one final note. To those of you who have chosen to part company with me, I have this to say. I am sorry if my ideas seem too radical, but sometimes change requires radical action. As a Christian, many of my positions and opinions might be considered radical or unorthodox to others, much like the man Christ in his teachings. He was considered a radical in his time, and even to some extent today. I'm sorry if my comments made you think I was turning into some authoritarian who was seeking my perspective forced on others. This was my error, and I own up to it. And I am sorry that it has caused division between us. This was never my intention. And should you ever reach out to me and wish to resume our association and our friendship, my door will always be open. I don't cancel friends. And I mean these words. No more division. Because for those of us who put out content, our word means everything. And our thoughts and ideas are what shape the world. I would like to leave this world and YouTube in a better place than I found it. And it might be a lofty goal, as I said on Friday. But as a very wise lady known as Madam Ambassador has taught me, Kate never did anything, but tried did. Well, I am going to try. Because right now, I would much rather be a beacon of light than be another shadow in the darkness. So, anyways, guys, that's my review, and that's my follow-up to my address from Friday. If you want to check that out and everything, I will put a link to it and everything down in the description. I will also put a link to a work video that I did a month or so ago that does kind of fall in line with this entire conversation. So anyways, guys, I will be back this Wednesday and everything with another installment of Afternoons with the Ambassador, Council of the Ones, Babylon 5 review with my friends, Mountains of Elysium, Classic Comics, and Fiona Wolf. Yeah, Cece. She is a smart woman. She graduated magna cum laude from university, so yeah, I married her for her looks. I also married her for her brain. As I was saying, I'll be back this Wednesday at 3:30 Central Time with another installment with another Babylon 5 review and everything. Me and the rest of the council will be gathered and everything. We'll be covering the episode from Season 2, Geometry of Shadows. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that. And coming up in the next few weeks, and everything actually coming up next month, September is my birthday. And we're going to do not one, not two, but 3 watch parties. Because what good is a birthday without having some watch parties with your friends? And I'm actually going to be switching days up and everything because of my work schedule and so on. But next month, we're going to be doing watch parties for The Fifth Element, for Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and for the 80s classic, Clue. So if y'all would be interested in being on any of those streams, Mr. CCDV, I know you have. But if anyone else and anything in the chat is interested in being a part of those panels for those watch parties, you know how to get a hold of me on Twitter and on Discord. So, Traveler, awesome. Just out of curiosity, well, mine's okay. This is convoluted, but I'll try and keep it simple. Most of you know I'm adopted. I was actually born on September 12th, but my parents took custody of me on September 14th. So I technically have 2 birthdays, but we've always celebrated on the 14th because that's the date that's on my birth certificate. So, but yeah, Traveler, just out of curiosity, when is your birthday? And I'll wait a minute or two and everything. So, for you to answer. I'll go ahead and close these down. But yeah, guys, I've got several projects in the works and everything. Me and Mountains of Elysium are actually going to be doing a project next month and everything because as most of you know, obviously, I am a hardcore Star Wars fan. And Mountains is what you would call a normie. He likes Star Wars. He's seen all the Star Wars movies. Oh, okay. Oh, September 30th. Okay. So you're towards the tail end. I was right smack dab in the middle. Oh, man. I'm like, let's see, 8 years behind you. I'm turning 42. Oh, man. Okay. But yeah, guys, me and Mountains of Elysium are actually going to be working on a project and everything where we... Hey, Darth Aster, good to see you. It's okay, bud. You can catch this on the replay, so don't worry about it. Good to see you as always. Hope you're doing well. But anyway, me and Mountains of Elysium, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of streams where I'm going to be, what's the saying? Always true there are, no more, no less, a master and an apprentice. I'm the master. He's the apprentice. And we're going to talk about the lore and the history of Star Wars and everything, and kind of get him up to speed and kind of give him a frame of reference for why the Disney trilogy. CC, some days I don't feel that young. I wish I did. But anyway. But yeah, we're going to be working on that and everything. We're going to do that as a couple of live streams next month. I'm going to be reaching out to my friend Milan Kulik and everything because he had been wanting to do a review of the 13th Warrior, possibly even a watch party. I have to get a hold of him. And Milan, if you hear this on the replay, I will be in touch with you, bud, because I have not forgotten 13th Warrior and everything. I want to do that review with you, bud. I want to do that discussion, so I'll be in touch. And I actually had a poll up and everything, and I've gotten CC. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's awesome. But actually, probably sometime next month as well, I might do this as an afternoon stream or I might do it as a evening stream. I'm not sure which yet. But I'm going to be doing a discussion of the Hunger Games trilogy, because I've gotten some good response from that poll and everything, and the missus suggested, and I'm like, the missus makes a good point. as she often does. And this is something else I'm going to be working on. This might be a little bit down the road. This might be a month or two out and everything. But let me know in the comment and let me know in the chat and let me know in the comments. I'm thinking about doing a discussion about the two main characters from Hunger Games and from Twilight. Yes, I know. I'm a little bit of a twihard. Miss Madame Ambassador, she's a huge twihard. It's one of the reasons I love her. Anything I'm thinking about doing the discussion on the two characters of Bella Swan and Katniss Everdeen. So, but that'll be a little bit down the road. And one other thing I want to mention before I do close out. I know I've said this half a dozen times already, but what the hell. I am still working on my video for, or actually, I'm working on my material and everything for a stream that I'm wanting to that's going to discuss Ray Who. I'm actually doing a fan fiction. This is my first crack at one, so if it's not perfect, I'm going to try and do as best I can to make it perfect. But I want to discuss Ray Who. And yes, this is tied into Star Wars. This is tied into Rise of Skywalker. This is something I've been wanting to talk about. I'm just having to schedule everything because I'm working full time and I've got a dozen other things, everything going on. So, anyways, guys and ladies, and all of you that are in the chat now, and those of you that catch us on the replay, I hope you enjoyed this stream. As always, hit that like button, share this out, and if you come across this and you enjoyed my conversation, hit that subscribe button and become a part of this community. Traveler. Yes, Mr. CC, sparkly vampires. I am like I said, I'm a little bit of a twihard. What can I say? Alice is hot. Alice was my bae during the Twilight period. Hey, she was a cutie. What can I say? Of course, Rosalie wasn't bad looking either, and neither was Esme. But anyway, guys. Traveler, you too. And Traveler, I've never, believe it or not, I've never actually sat down and watched Phantasm. I've seen clips of it, but I've never watched it all the way through. And actually, Traveler, in October, I'm going to be doing some Halloween themed, some Gothic themed content and everything for the season of the Witch. So I'm working on that and everything, and I'll be putting out updates and so on as I get that pulled together. So, and actually October, I'll be celebrating 1 year on YouTube. So anyways, y'all have a great day. Y'all take care. And until next time, this is the Ambassador signing off.
I have always been